everybody, and welcome to the weekend review for the 2023 Miami Grand Prix, the 11th race in Formula One history that had every single driver who started the race finish the race. And I think that is absolutely unique in modern motorsports as well. It's a true testament to show exactly how reliable modern formula cars are and exactly how good they can be. So a fantastic achievement as well. And we're going to go through the review process here as well, all set for what is going to be a fantastic review, because many people have been saying of the last few days, oh, that race was boring, nothing happened. Quite the contrary, quite a bit happened in the midfield as well. I mean, there was a lot of important developments that sort of cropped up as well, so there's a lot to talk about as well in this race. Now, I should point out we should have been joined by Adam, Josh and Omi. However, the commentary box is in an absolute state at the moment, so we cannot have a full team with us as well, but that's going to be fixed next time out as well. And by the weekend, we've done some soundproofing and a little bit of tidying up as well, so the box has sort of been tidied and put a little bit back to normal. In fact, I've got a lot more space to walk around in now as well without tripping over chairs and that lot, so it's actually quite good. Okay, let's start with Red Bull then. Max Verstappen started 9th on the grid as well. Just 15 laps later, he was on the back of the front two of Alonso and Perez, and eventually he got through on Sergio and took the race win. An absolutely fantastic performance from Max. First driver since 1982 at Dijon as well to win from 9th on the grid, so that's absolutely fantastic for him. Sergio Perez took the pole position as well, took every single lap nearly, but again, an alternate strategy put him in second place. We thought there was going to be a brief battle at the end when Verstappen v Perez, but Perez on old hard tyres, Verstappen on brand new as hard tyres. He was able to go through with ease, so that put Sergio Perez second. It now means Max Verstappen in the lead of the Drivers' Championship. He's on 119 points now as well, with Perez on 105, but there's still a long way to go in the title, and it's also keeping up the one-upmanship. So if Max wins, the next race goes to Checo. So it's been Max, Checo, Max, Checo, Max so far in the opening 5 rounds, which is quite unusual. So let's hear what the two drivers had to say then in the media pen.
Did you expect at the start of the day that you'd have been able to have such incredible pace to fight your way through?
It's always difficult to tell how good it would be, but I knew that the car was very quick. It was just about how quickly I could clear all the cars ahead of me. And of course I was also on a bit of a different strategy, but the pace was very good. It was very important to go really long in the first stint, but it was a bit difficult to tell how the tires would last. So that's why probably in the middle of that stint I had to back in or back it out a bit. Okay. And then at the end of that stint I could push again because I could feel like I would hit that lap anyway, the lap number we wanted to target. That's why I think that made my race, to come out so close. Of course, after the pit stop, then I had fresher tires, and that tire was probably a little bit more fragile today, but it was still good enough, of course, to pull out again.
Yeah, obviously I wanted to win today. Didn't work out. Very early on, I could see that that medium tire was a weak one, especially for that first stint, and I just didn't go long enough to build a tire delta. Unfortunately, it didn't work this time for us, but I think we gotta learn and understand what went wrong today, and hopefully be to our normal pace in Imola.
On to Aston Martin then, and Fernando Alonso back on the podium. He really is this season's George Russell, isn't he? Mr. Consistent. Started P2, dropped back to 3rd in the end as well. But Fernando Alonso being in 3rd place after being off the podium in Baku 7 days earlier still proves that Aston Martin has got the pace and does have the reliability to be up there as well as a best of the rest team. They are the second fastest team right now in Formula One. So some great news there going forward as well. So great job from Alonso to finish in 3rd. Lance Stroll, a bad weekend for him, off the pace all the time. He finished down in 12th position outside of the points. So not a great day there, unfortunately, for Lance, but a good day for Fernando Alonso. Let's hear from them now in the media briefings.
That probably was our best race of the year in terms of race pace, and we need to keep understanding the car. Obviously, still everything new to us. We found ourselves in a position that we still difficult to believe, but we are maximizing every Sunday, so this is the way to go.
Our weekend yesterday, the bad qualifying, we did what we could today, but tough one.
Did you think that maybe you might have had a chance to fight through a little bit more? Is this just a track that it's just once you're offline?
It's really tough to overtake, and DRS trained the whole way, so it was just a tough one.
On to Mercedes now. George Russell finishing in 4th place, which is actually really good. A big improvement on where he was earlier on in the Grand Prix. Lewis Hamilton in 6th, but it could have been so much more. They topped 1-2 as well, but from Friday's pace, Saturday was a low. So there was no pace in the car. The acceleration they had on Friday disappeared. Hamilton and Russell complaining of setup, complaining of brake bias as well. Nothing was working for them as well, so they slipped down the order. Mighty impressive to get a 4th and a 6th place on the two of them. Their big upgrades, though, for this W14 are coming next time out. Just 2 weeks they've got to wait until Imola, and they will have, hopefully, a new car to challenge for podiums and race wins this season. It might already be too late for the World Championships. That's from their own admission. Let's hear then what George and Lewis had to say in the media pen.
P4, in those circumstances, we probably wasn't expecting. Really quite a satisfying race. Good overtakes on the Alpines, good overtake on Carlos. Pace for us, relatively speaking, was strong. We couldn't have done more today, so I'm proud of that. But of course, we want more, and we want races like this to be for the win.
Had a great time. It was really, really fun. Great to be able to come back from 13th because it was bad qualifying yesterday. So to be able to take that step forward was awesome.
How much are you itching to get the upgrades for Imola?
Yeah, definitely been counting down the days for it. So I'll find out this week what we're expecting, what kind of trajectory that puts us on. But I'm really hoping that it helps us take a step forwards. I think others might bring upgrades as well. So it'll be really interesting to see kind of where we are with the lay of the land. But I'm excited.
Ferrari had an interesting weekend. It was nowhere from Carlos Sainz until the race, and he finishes in a P5. A good performance from Carlos. It caught everybody by surprise by where he was going to be. So great job there. Bad job though, Charles Leclerc. Crashed on Friday, crashed on Saturday in qualifying, started 7th, dropped back at the start, fought back to 7th. So a bit of a non-starter this weekend. Charles Leclerc, miserable season so far. It really is painful to see him suffering these horrible bouts of bad luck as well. And can't all be Matt Gallagher's fault. But yeah, really is bad for Charles. But a good weekend turnaround for Carlos Sainz. But Ferrari must do better as well at their home race in Imola. Their literal home race is next time out. Let's hear what they had to say in the media briefing.
It's very tough for us at the moment. I had a super encouraging and exciting first stint pushing Fernando and thinking that we could actually battle him and stay ahead of the Mercedes for the race. Then we went for the undercut, and having to push those first 3 laps after the pit stops killed my tire, and it was just a very long stint from there to the end. We are battling inconsistencies with the wind, with the unpredictability of the car, with the overheating of the tire, which means we have very little flexibility in the race to play around with other cars with strategy. And I think we paid the price of maybe pitting those 5 laps too early to undercut Fernando.
It was really difficult. We were just speaking about with Carlos, and we basically agreed that we have a car that is so incredibly difficult to be on the limit. And on my side, I don't know what was going on, but in the high speed I had, the car was moving a lot. Not from the rear, but just the overall platform of the car was touching like crazy. So we will check the car and everything, but didn't feel great. And as we were saying with Carlos, it was just a very inconsistent car today. And so just trying to bring the car to the end, but obviously another great race.
On to Alpine now as well, and we've got Pierre Gasly in 8th, Esteban Ocon in 9th. So They didn't try for the tyre strategy like they did back in Baku of just going to the end. They did the pit stops from medium compound to hard tyres, and it seemed to pay off as well. A good result for double points for them. Gasly ahead of Ocon, which is a nice little turnaround as well. Ocon has had a difficult couple of weeks, but is looking to improve as well in the order. Gasly's enjoying his first season with the Alpine drivers. A good performance for them as well, just looking at it. Both actually separated by about 2 seconds at the end of it as well. Both picking up some valuable points. Here's what they said in the media pen.
Yeah, I will say there was clearly some positive. Took a great start, managed to be forced for the start of the race for a few laps, and pushed really hard trying to keep up with Carlos and Fernando. But yeah, we just lacked a bit of pace, running in P6 until a few laps to the end, and fortunately we had to do quite a lot of fuel saving in the last 10-15 laps, and Charles and Lewis came back pretty quickly and passed me, I think, 4 laps to the end.
Yeah, I think it's been good, obviously, to finish with both cars in the points today. Pleased to have bounced back, from a tough weekend last weekend. And some good fights out there, some good lunges on Valtteri, some good fights with Carlos, back and forward. He passed me, I passed him. Well, he finished in front. We couldn't hold him, but it was a good fight until then. And unfortunately, we had an aggressive strategy that we knew was a little bit slower, but there could have been more rewards, for it, and it didn't pay, for us today.
Kevin Magnussen then in the Haas, picking up the last World Championship point in 10th position. Fell back, started 4th on the grid, a race that promised so much, was overtaken at the start, lost down on positions. Unlucky with the pit stop strategies as well. He didn't get the gap he wanted. Ended down in 10th position as well. Haas really having a stinker weekend. And then we get Nico Hülkenberg in 15th place as well. It was non-starter really as well. Why Hulk has a seat in Formula 1? I don't know. Why K-Mag isn't performing? I don't know. There are big questions Haas have got to ask themselves going into the European segment of the season as well. So I'm expecting better from them next time out. Let's hear what they said in the media pen.
Yeah, of course. I mean, I was dreaming of a little more than 1 point, but still what we came here to do is get points and finish in the top 10. I don't think it was an easy race to get points in today because all the big teams finished up there. And P10, I think, is more or less the best we could have hoped in terms of the pace we had. I think actually the pace was good, but we had a little more degradation than the rest of the field.
Yeah, it was a tricky, difficult race. Didn't quite pan out the way we hoped, we wanted. Start was alright, but then I think we were just having difficulties in traffic. When we're surrounded with other cars, we were struggling for consistency, for grip. Makes it quite difficult for me anyways today, and I was struggling with that. And that obviously then also translates into higher tire deck. So not a good one, but I still feel some valuable lessons probably learned, some good data, and hopefully we can tackle those issues in the future later in the season.
AlphaTauri once again off the pace. Yuki Tsunoda in 11th as well. He was close to the points. If you take a look at the results as well, he was 1.3 seconds off the pace of Magnussen, and Lance Stroll was beating down his neck for the majority of the race as well. So there is a lot of pressure to perform for Yuki Tsunoda as he looks to keep his seat for next season. But a driver who's struggling to maybe even keep his seat after 5 races is the one and only Nick de Vries, who at the start of the race locked up and went straight into the back of Lando Norris. Didn't even make an attempt to get out of the way. No penalty was given, but he's got a lot of hate online for that as well, which isn't right. But even from his own team principal as well, and from Helmut Marko, even Helmut Marko has been saying that he needs to improve and might not even make it to the end of the season. Might even be replaced by mid-season. So 18th for de Vries in the end as well after a pit stop on the opening lap. Not great at all. This is what they said in the media pen.
Yeah, very tough. Well, I literally gave it everything, so pretty happy with the performance. Shame that I couldn't score points. But yeah, nothing to say. It's good that I'm being consistent Yeah, hopefully I can be consistent in points. But for now, pretty happy with it.
Yeah, it was quite lonely. There was a little tire degradation, so I kind of lap times were improving all the time, and yeah, just looking after the front, and that was pretty much it.
Didn't definitely have the pace like we had yesterday on a single lap. I think this reflects more the true pace I think we have at the moment. So yeah, need to keep working. Obviously tried to fight the best I could, but just couldn't hold on.
Yeah, it was quite clear that just sliding around better than last weekend, but still kind of it's kind of here and affecting us, the performance, especially with the high fuel car. And yeah, it was very difficult for me to hold it off. Obviously, the Asters behind and the guys around, like even the Haas seems to be have a stronger pace than us. So hopefully that, you know, with the upgrades we have for Imola can bring us forward. But yeah, it was a difficult Sunday out there.
To the go, Alexander Albon as well, after starting high up on the grid in 12th, dropped back down to 14th in the end with an okay strategy. Still no points, but that Williams car taking time to sort of adapt and grow together, and it could be going somewhere by the time they start getting upgrades, which again coming at Imola. Also then in 20th, Logan Sargent making it the last finisher. He finished a lap down as well, pit on the opening lap due to wing damage as well. Pretty much destroyed his race. So the American driver, who was born at Fort Lauderdale, 10 miles outside of the circuit, he finished his home race in last, a lap down. This is what they said in the media pen.
Tricky one, just didn't have the pace today. I think we went into it thinking we were the 9th quickest car, and maybe today we were the 10th. So yeah, it was a tricky one. We were just managing the fronts and the rears. Didn't really have grip sliding around. Yeah. That's the next one.
I think we were a bit conservative on balance to start the race, and when I only do one stint, I have to persevere with that the rest of the race. You know, I used my tools to get it as close as I could, and I think by the end it wasn't too bad. It came to me a little bit, but yeah, I mean 56 laps or 55 laps on the hards was a long stint, and by the end, yeah, they're going to be struggling.
The last team then to go through, and it is McLaren. As I already stated, Lando Norris, who finished in 17th position, had contact on the opening lap. He had to come into the pit lane, put him on a hard tyre strategy to the end of the race. It didn't work out as well. He was expected to jump up in the mid-race, but everyone kept extending. Everyone who started on the hard tyres kept extending, and it didn't give Lando the gap that they wanted, so unfortunately that didn't work out. And Oscar Piastri finished 19th, a lap down as well. He too had a brake bar wire failure as well, which means he was having to nurse the brakes throughout the entirety of the race. To be only a lap down was an absolute miracle as well. So great driving there to keep it just a lap down. But unfortunately, a brake bar wire problem again. So McLaren had the upgrades in Baku. They were expecting to use more of it here. It hasn't worked out. That's bitterly disappointing. They move on to Emilia-Romagna. And this is what they said in the media pen. And on the other side, we'll take a look at the results from this Grand Prix, as well as the drivers and constructors' standings.
I guess frustrating. It's just a long race, not enough speed to battle anyone, and yeah, way out the points. So it's tough, but I did what I could. We're not doing anything wrong. We just don't have a car. We're just quick enough at the minute. So yeah, just keep working hard.
I had a lot of issues on the car in the race. Yeah, we had some kind of quite major failure about 6 or 7 laps in on the brake-by-wire and the energy recovery or something like that. So. Yeah, I was managing a lot of issues after that. I had a really good lap 1, which was yeah, the highlight of the weekend, I think. But yeah, frustrating afternoon, just yeah, trying to drive around all the issues.
So Max Verstappen wins the Miami Grand Prix from Sergio Perez second and Fernando Alonso third. George Russell is fourth. Carlos Sainz getting a time penalty as well for speeding in the pit lane, drops him down to fifth, with Lewis Hamilton sixth, Charles Leclerc seventh, Pierre Gasly eighth, Esteban Ocon ninth, and Kevin Magnussen rounding out the points in 10th. Yuki Tsunoda is 11th with Lance Stroll 12th, Valtteri Bottas is 13th, Alexander Albon 14th, Nico Hülkenberg 15th, Zhou Guanyu 16th, Lando Norris is 17th, Nick de Vries 18th, Oscar Piastri 19th, and Logan Sargent is 20th. In the Drivers' Championship, Max Verstappen now leads on 119 points. Sergio Perez is 105, Fernando Alonso on 75, then it's Lewis Hamilton 56, Carlos Sainz 44, George Russell on 40, Charles Leclerc 34, Lance Stroll 27, Lando Norris 10 and Pierre Gasly on 8. Then it's Nico Hülkenberg with 6, the same as Esteban Ocon, 4 apiece for Valtteri Bottas and Oscar Piastri. Zhou Guanyu and Yuki Tsunoda and Kevin Magnussen have 2 points. Alexander Albon has the single point as well. Still no points though for Logan Sargent or Nick De Vries. In the Constructors' Championship, Red Bull now lead the way on 224 points. Aston Martin on 102, Mercedes on 96, Ferrari closing in finally on 78. Then it's level between McLaren and Alpine on 14, Haas have 8, Alfa Romeo have 6, AlphaTauri 2 and Williams have 1. From myself, from Nathan, from Jess, from Tom, from Megan, from Josh, from Omi and from Adam, thank you very much for joining us for Formula One. We'll see you next time. Bye bye.